I viewed 100 properties, but I only bought one. This specific deal will end up generating around 45,000 Rand in revenue each and every month, or around 10,000 Rand in cash flow. These type of deals is really difficult to find, so it's not always as easy as it seems. If you want to learn how I continually buy properties each and every year, pay no taxes, and continue to grow my property portfolio, you need to check out my property course and coaching program. I have some exciting news because I decided to launch a massive 50% off sale on my property course and coaching program. The only catch is that there's a limited amount of spots available, and it will only be for the month of September because it's my birthday month. Definitely consider enrolling in this course because I have spent thousands of rands on property books, webinars, seminars, and mentors, and I package everything that I know in an easy to understand format that can help you reach your goals in the shortest period of time. And this is a great way to support the channel because at the end of the day, these course sales funds my YouTube channel and it helps me to continually make videos for you guys for free. The purpose of this video is to show you guys that finding profitable property deals is not as easy as it might seem. Yes, you can find average or below average deals everywhere around South Africa because they are readily available. But finding a deal that can create cash flow, that can help you reach your financial goals is not as easy to find. At the end of the day, it requires a different skill set to identify these properties, and that's exactly what I teach on this channel. I'm going to share a guide that I follow that helps me find the perfect deals, and you'll see why it takes so much time and why it's not as easy as it might seem. Typically, I would start off by scrolling Property 24 on my phone, and I'll go through the app for hours and hours to find potential deals to start with. This is the part where you need to know exactly what strategy you want to follow, what location you want to browse in, and the price class that you want to buy in. If you know these three things, you can start searching for potential deals, and what I like to do is to add them to my favorite so that I can analyze them later on. You need to know the strategy that you want to follow, whether it's Airbnb, single lets, multi-lets, house hacking, or even a guest house strategy. At the end of the day, this will help you to narrow down properties that will work for your situation. Once I narrowed down a couple potential deals, then I would start to run some numbers. It's important to understand that you should make a decision based on your numbers and never on your emotions. The first thing I like to do is to use the 1% rule, and this is simply the first step. This is by no means the only rule you have to use, but the 1% rule is where you take your potential rental income for 1 month and divide it with your purchase price and multiply it with 100. That number should be above 1%. The closer it is to 2 or 3%, the higher the odds of it being cash flow positive. The next rule is gross yield, and this is where I simply take your annual rental income and divide it with your purchase price. This is effectively the same as the 1% rule, just for an annual basis. Then the most important calculation, and the one that you should never skip, is return on investment calculations. This is where you take your total income, you deduct your total expenses, the amount that is left gets multiplied by 12, which gives you your annual income, and you divide that with the money that you invested in the deal and multiply it with 100 to get it in a percentage form. These three rules is very important, and it's rules that I use on each and every deal that I analyze, and I use them daily, so never skip these calculations. Just remember, at this stage of our analysis, we are working on estimates, so we don't know whether the numbers that we used in our projections is actually accurate or not. Once the deal actually passes these rules and you are happy to go ahead, then I would start phoning the agents. This is where I would find out as much detail over the phone as possible, because this can save you a lot of time and a lot of effort instead of scheduling a viewing and only asking the questions, then realizing that the deal is not going to work. Some of the questions that I really like to ask is, how long has this property been listed? Why is this property not sold yet? Or has there been any offers that fell through? How exactly does the water and electricity work on this specific property, whether it's prepaid or billed monthly through the municipality. I also like to confirm the rates and taxes. Normally they give you an estimate of rates and taxes on your Property 24 app, but these are never accurate. Believe me when I say that they are never accurate. I also like to find out whether there's tenants in the property or is the owner staying in the property themselves. And a question that I love to ask is there something specific that I should be aware of as a potential buyer? This is a great way to identify whether this property deal is worth viewing. This is also a great way to click with your agent and to source as much information as possible. Asking these questions is really important because it will give you a good understanding of what's going on with that property and why the owners are actually selling. Once you are happy about the conversation with your agent, this is the time where you schedule viewings. I like to schedule or line up at least 2 or 3 viewings on a day because it saves me time and of course diesel to kind of view more than one property in a specific area. With a viewing, I would generally walk through with the agent and allow them to share all the information that they have and share everything that they are aware of and ask as much questions as possible, where afterwards I will take extra time to walk through the property and kind of inspect everything visually to make sure that I'm aware of any big issues, any repairs that's needed. The main thing you look for in this situation is finding issues that's going to cost you a lot of money. Generally, when I walk through these properties, I would look for these issues. Normally, I start off in the kitchen and focus on some of the plumbing. So out of experience, I've seen that plumbing issues is going to be your biggest concern no matter what type of property you buy. I also just want to make sure that the cupboards is in good condition and whether the layout of the kitchen actually makes sense. I would move on to some of the extra rooms in the house, and generally I like to look at stuff like carpets because carpets is something that's really gross and really dirty, but it's easy to remove. And you can make a huge difference if you install tiles or laminate flooring. So that's something that I love to look for, and I love buying a house with carpets. Another thing I like to focus on is to look for damp in certain areas. In this property specifically, there's a bit of rising damp issue, but it's actually something that you can use to negotiate a lower selling price, and that's exactly what I want to do. If we move on through this property, we can actually see that in the hall, there is damp vents, meaning that they have struggled with damp in the past. Again, this is not a big issue and it's something that you can resolve quite cheaply. The bedrooms isn't something that needs a lot of attention. Mainly it's cupboards, it's windows, and of course it's carpets. Again, we move on to the bathrooms, and this is where you can spend some time and literally flush the toilet, open the taps, test the shower, test the bath. That's where you can see whether the head parts of the bathroom actually works and whether they will need replacing in the near future. Again, I'm not too stressed about the bedrooms because most of the time you only focus on your cupboards and your carpets. I would also focus on looking for foundation cracks and any issues in the building structure itself. This is probably one of the biggest issues that you might face and one of the issues that will cost you a hell lot of money. Another thing you can look for is ceiling damage, which is an indication that there is a roof leak. Once you looked at the property from the inside, it also makes sense to walk around the property from the outside to check if you see any visible issues or damage on the roof or on the building structure. Once I'm done with the initial viewing, I would ask the agent for proof of a few things. The first thing I want is proof of rates and taxes and levies if applicable. I would also like to see the latest building plans and whether everything is actually on the plans. I would also like to know the average usage of water and get some proof of that if there's actually someone that rented there. Once I know I have all the relevant information, I have actual numbers, I would go straight home and draw a TPN report on every potential deal that I want to make an offer on. Once I'm happy with all the numbers on the report, I would then do a in-detail return on investment calculation using actual numbers. This is where you decide whether the deal will work or not based on the numbers and not on emotions. I would also use the offer I'm willing to make as my purchase price instead of paying full price for that specific property. Once it passes your return on investment calculations and you are happy with how the numbers look, this is where you can make an offer. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of steps to follow before you can actually find a profitable deal, and it's important to not skip any of these steps. This is something that I do on each and every deal that I consider buying, and I basically do these calculations on a daily basis. Once you are happy with these numbers, this is the part where you will make an offer. Again, if you want to find out how exactly this works and how you can really make money with property, consider checking out my property course. Again, it has a 50% sale until the end of September, so make sure you secure your spot because there's limited spots available.